Hey, beautiful. Welcome to Dr. Sarah's Cafe. We are on the precipice or at the very beginning of a massive collective energy shift with the moon's nodes moving into the sign of Pisces and Virgo. Specifically, the north node is moving into Pisces and the south node is moving into Virgo. This is representing a collective energy shift that is really going to be felt because the nodes are where we have eclipses. And if you are somewhat familiar with astrology, you know that eclipses are really pivotal, major, fated points in our lives, and they can bring sudden, unexpected changes, right? And so I wanted to make this video because this is not just a passing, one day transit or a couple of day transit. These nodes are going to be in Pisces and Virgo for 18 months, so over a year. And they're going to move in January 12th, around 6 a.m. Eastern Time. And then they'll be there until July of 2026, okay? Let me make sure I have that date right. Yes, July 2026. So all of 2025. And then over half of 2026 is going to be influenced by this Pisces North Node energy and this Virgo South Node energy. Now, maybe you're like, I have no idea what any of those are. That's okay. I'm going to share with you what this can mean for us personally, what it can mean for us collectively. True to form, I'm going to look at how we can pay attention to this energy as we try to fill our cups and fulfill our destinies. We'll start with the North Node. I have my notes here, so if you see me looking over, I'm just glancing at my notes. The North Node is where we are evolving to. It's sort of like what we're reaching for. The South Node is where we're evolving from. So it has a lot to do with karma, past life, where we've been, and also things that we've mastered. And so been there, done that. I'm really, really good at this thing. I can move on to something else, right? And so it's almost like the South Node and the North Node is like going from elementary school, moving up through the ranks until you get to college or advanced learning and education, okay? And so some astrologers, depending on who you talk to or who you listen to, they might say that the North Node is sort of bad or negative, and it's things that we should release or get away from or try not to do. But with these transiting nodes, I kind of am of the mind of other astrologers who say that both the South Node and the North Node are useful, and it just depends on your orientation to them. So let's look at the North Node first, or the South Node first in Virgo. So we know that Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Maybe you didn't know that, but now you know. Virgo is ruled by the planet of Mercury, so keep that in mind. And here are some major themes of Virgo energy, where the South Node is going to be: health, food, diet, especially nutrition and body hygiene, also healing and healers, right? And so health overall, and thinking again, health and healing, that's both physical but also spiritual and emotional. Maybe you are a healer, maybe you are thinking, maybe you've recently been on a healing journey, and so you're going to see some progress in that area, right? Virgo is also known for craftsmanship and detail, specifically the fine details. And I think this lends itself to that Mercury energy as well, because it really pays attention to information, to details. It digs deep, right? And it excavates and likes to organize and, have structure to things. Virgo energy is also associated with critique and criticism. So this kind of lends itself to the craftsmanship, right? So craftsmanship, being an artisan, has a lot to do with your ability to look closely at something and have a keen eye for how good it is. What's the quality of this painting? What's the quality of this music? What's the quality of this fabric, right? Also, Virgo, in the larger scheme of its themes and relevancies, deals with the day-to-day work, your job, your career, also everyday lifestyle habits, right? And so again, thinking about craftsmanship and work, right? Things that you do over and over again, things that become habits for you, a lot of times that lead you to becoming masterful of those things. A lot of times we become a master artisan because we've spent a lot of day-to-day hours, a lot of day-to-day work and grind learning something or practicing something. And then I mentioned routines, lifestyle, and habits. And also kind of related to health, it's your nervous system. And so Virgo energy has a lot to do with like anxiety and having a need to like reset your nervous system, which is really, a lot of people are talking about that these days, of having a calm nervous system, relaxing your nervous system. And so, what does all of this mean with the South Node? Again, relating to the past, relating to things that we already have some level of mastery on, also moving away from not paying as much attention to those things, not having to focus as much on those things. Two things I noted here is that we could be less focused on all the things I just mentioned. However, that doesn't mean we ignore them. What I think is that we become less focused on these things because we've already taken care of them, okay? And so if you feel like you don't have a really good health routine, or that you don't have a good lifestyle habits, routines, and rituals in your day-to-day, this would be a good opportunity to get those things in order so that you don't have to focus on them. It's like when you're first learning how to ride a bike, you're thinking about just not falling over. You just don't want to fall down. And so it's taking up all your focus, all your attention, okay? But when something is moving from the South Node, it's when, okay, I've ridden this bike oft enough. I have enough bike riding experience to where it does not require as much focus. Now I can ride my bike while focusing on other things. Now I can ride my bike while listening to a podcast or talking to a friend or looking for directions on my phone, right? And so for me, the South Node is, we focus less on it because it is now a part of our basic skills. It's something that is so second nature to us that we don't have to put in a lot of effort or attention or focus to get it done and to make sure that it's accomplished, right? So what are those things for you? Whether it's cooking, if I were to try to cook, it would require a lot of conscious effort and attention. Someone else could, be putting something on the stove, throwing this in there, throwing that on there, talking on the phone, like cleaning, doing chores, taking care of the kids, doing all these other things, because their level of skill and knowledge in the kitchen is just something that they don't have to pay as much attention to. So when it comes to health, food, diet, your craftsmanship, paying attention to the details, critique, criticism, day-to-day work, routines, chores, habits, your lifestyle rhythm, the rhythms of your life, getting those to a point where they just flow, right? Like things really are in a natural rhythm. So organizing your home, your life in such a way, your work schedule, your daily tasks and agenda, organizing them in such a way that they support the new things that you're trying to do. They support the goals and the vision that you have for the future, rather than having them take up a lot of extra time, energy, and attention. What I'm getting in the moment is that this could be outsourcing for some of you, right? So maybe some of you stop focusing so much on these things because you hire help. And that frees up your energy to focus on something else that's a priority for you over the next 18 months, okay? So whether it's you focus less on it because you're just so solid in your everyday routines, or you focus less on it because you hire help doing it, right? So like for me, I use a meal delivery service. And that's one way that I will not have to focus as much on nutrition and cooking going forward, right? I've outsourced that in the hands of professionals who, love cooking, who love food and have a lot of knowledge about it. And so for you, because the sixth house in Virgo in general also rules employees and people who work for you, people that you hire, staff and coworkers. So if you hire a housekeeper, if you hire an accountant to help you with your budget and your finances, if you hire a personal stylist, right? Like think about, what can you get into order and maintain and manage pretty consistently for yourself? And what are the things that you can delegate, so that you don't have to have all of your energy and attention going into the laundry, going into the cooking, going into, your exercise routine. Maybe you hire a personal trainer or join an app where, you're staying healthy, but you don't have to think too hard about it, right? Like you can say, oh, this app tells me all the exercises I need to do for the day and it's done, right? So I think that's going to be really helpful. And then the last thing I have in terms of the South Node in Virgo is having these things in order could be a great foundation or a platform for the new and the next, right? And so when you make that leap towards your Pisces North Node, you want to make sure that the platform you're leaping from is solid and that it's not going to crumble under the weight of that push, right? You want something that's going to support your push upwards and outwards towards that North Node energy. And so one Radiant Reality, who's has a YouTube channel here, said in a session that the South Node can also be like the platform that swimmers push off of. So when you get to the edge of the wall and you push off the platform ledge to give you that extra push into the water, right? And so again, finding ways to simplify health, diet, nutrition, day-to-day work projects, routines, mental health, right? So just going ahead, getting the therapist, putting it in your calendar week to week. Whatever you can do to make your everyday lifestyle and habits simple and easy so that they don't take up unnecessary focus and time and attention and energy away from other things in your life, the more leverage you have to then reach towards the future destiny points, okay? Now let's talk about the North Node, right? The other side of that spectrum, which is in the sign of Pisces. So Pisces is ruled by Jupiter. So it's the planet of expansion. And, recently I made a video about the Jupiter-Mercury oppositions, with Jupiter being in the sign of Gemini. And so I talked about how these energies can be, not only are they having an opposition, but in many ways they are opposite. So Mercury likes the small details. Mercury likes to dig deep and look at the small parts of things, whereas Jupiter likes to look at the bigger picture. Jupiter likes to say, I don't want to get caught in the weeds, I don't want to get bogged down by the small details. Like, let's talk about the big vision. Let's talk about the overarching theme or the big idea, okay? So you have this contrast, this spectrum of the more fine details of that Virgo energy versus the larger dream, the bigger vision, the bigger picture of Jupiter and Pisces energy, okay? So some of the themes that we see when it comes to Pisces are abstract thinking, right? So Mercury is more like the concrete details of it all, the plan, the schedule, whereas Pisces is more so the abstract idea, like what's the bigger vision? Pisces deals a lot with artists and artistry. And so in that way, it complements Virgo energy because Pisces is sort of the feel-good artistry of it all. And Virgo is like the mastery of the fine motor skills and details necessary to create the larger vision. Pisces deals with health in some ways. It deals with the liquids of the body, right? So the fluids of the body. So when it comes to health things that we do want to pay attention to, that we do want to put more energy into, is making sure we stay hydrated, getting our blood work done, by a professional doctor, and just keeping the fluids of our bodies in check, the waters of the body. Again, starting with the basics of making sure you drink enough water. Pisces energy also dissolves. It's about dissolution, and it could be dissolving boundaries, dissolving old ideas. It is the last sign in the zodiac. It is the oldest sign in the zodiac. So it's about coming to the end of something, like going all the way around the zodiac wheel and ending up like in Pisces. And it's almost like everything sort of empties out into the ocean, because one of the analogies for Pisces energy is oceans and seas. That's a huge theme for Pisces energy. And you think about the ocean, it can contain everything. Anything on the earth can fit into the ocean, can be dissolved or succumb to the vastness of the ocean. Our planet is mostly water. And Pisces is also unity consciousness in that way. So I talked about dissolving boundaries and dissolving borders. One, that's why it's related to certain diseases, right? So things that spread really quickly, diseases that are transmitted through fluids and liquids of the body, right? And so we want to be careful about that. But also, it lends itself to unity consciousness because we realize, like, oh, even though I'm distinct, I'm not really separate, right? Like there is a oneness that we start to feel or tap into when it comes to Pisces energy that I think could be helpful, right? It could increase our empathy in that sense. Now, another thing I'm excited about Pisces is that it deals a lot with spirituality and spiritualism, mysticism, and psychological understandings and subconscious work. And so there could be a tendency or an inclination for the collective, or maybe for you also as an individual, to pay more attention to these things, to be more aware of, where's my spirituality taking me? Where's my spirituality leading me? What's the alternative or the farther reaching possibilities of my mysticism or spiritual work? What else am I having here? Oh, another thing about Pisces is that it's about secrets, things that are hidden, things that are sort of private. And so, yes, a low vibrational manifestation of that could be like hidden enemies or secret enemies, secret schemes, but it can also be retreats, like spa retreats, or getting away from society to go on a spiritual journey, going off into society to do a cleanse or a healing journey, right? But it does rule those places like hospitals, for example, right? So with this axis, it is the health axis. So we might see a lot of advancements or changes in healthcare in general, but also, things that are taboo, sort of like prisons or things being locked away, right? Like hidden that we don't want society to see. So we might see those things coming up for evolution, right? Or for change as well. Now, in terms of how we can use this or leverage this energy, I'm hoping that we take this new attention, this new forward destiny point going into Pisces as a chance to lean into spiritual learning, lean into spiritual development and growth, right? Taking the mystical, dreamy, artsy, ethereal qualities of Pisces and allowing that to amplify and support our spiritual search, our spiritual journey, and that's exploration, our spiritual exploration. Paying attention to the role that these things play in the larger evolution of humanity as well. So for you as an individual, it's going to depend on where Pisces is in your chart. So I'm going to do a series of shorts where I go sign by sign for each rising sign so that you can better understand the specifics of how this could play out in your life in more granular fashion. But just to, in general, tap into this destiny point, right? Talking about filling your cup and fulfilling your destiny. Let yourself dream. How can you create space in your life for more dreaminess? How can you start to cultivate greater empathy for other people and start to recognize your oneness with all of creation, your oneness with the cosmos? How can you start to lean into your spiritual practices and your spiritual knowledge, right? And allowing yourself moments of escape, right? Moments of, I'm kind of not responding to social media posts as much or responding to texts as much because I'm off meditating, right? Or I'm, reading a spiritual book or an occult book or reading more tarot cards, right? Doing more dream work. So don't be afraid to be more woo-woo, I think, with this North Node in Pisces. I think that'd be a great use of this energy. So again, if you want to get more specifics, more details on how this could play out for your specific zodiac sign, your rising sign and sun sign, then I'll link to the shorts series that I'm doing for each zodiac sign with this North Node in Pisces, South Node in Virgo. And if you have any other questions, be sure to leave a comment. And if you enjoyed this video or find any value in it, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And I hope to see you in another video. Take care.